Cricket presents The Campfire, and today we are taking a deep dive into 6-5A Division II. The teams in this district are Corsicana, Crandall, Ennis, Greenville, Kaufman, Mesquite Poteet, Midlothian Heritage, and Terrell. Let's analyze this district in our film session. The overall feeling during the preseason is that Midlothian Heritage has the inside track for a district title in 6-5A Division II. They have a lot returning from an undefeated regular season squad. Sure, they graduated a lot, but return quarterback Carter Rutenbar and receivers Ryan Satterwhite and Chris Robinson, who were all first-team All-District selections. Satterwhite will also be a force in the defensive backfield along with Freeman Robinson. The best player in the district might be Grayson Harris from Ennis. The athlete has played a little quarterback, but it's wide receiver where he really thrives. Lamarion McGowan also joins Harris in the Lions receiving corps, but Ennis will need someone to throw them the ball, which is what spring ball is for. Terrell graduated talented running back Chase Bingham, but the Tigers' ground attack always has a fresh crop of rushers waiting in the wings. Crandall came a win shy of the postseason last year and is ready to compete for a playoff appearance again in 2024. Kaufman moves up from 4A, where they earned a playoff spot and will contend again behind two-way junior Ajur Miles. The bottom of this district will fight it out for wins as Greenville welcomes a new head coach, while Poteet and Corsicana had no district wins a year ago. Freeflation leaves economists baffled. Getting more for less? It's true for those who switch to Cricket and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket. Give your taste buds that winning feeling with the new boneless Whataburger from Whataburger. Crispy, tender bites of chicken tossed in your choice of sauce.
The Campfire is brought to you by your Texas Kubota dealers, home of the #1 selling subcompact tractor in Texas. Kubota, together we do more.
For an even deeper look at 6-5A Division II, here's producer Ward Fasold and insider Matt Diggs with the District Breakdown.
This is District Breakdown. That's Diggs. I'm the Wizard. We're talking 6-5A Division II, our last 5A Division II district in the DFW area. And we were just talking off camera. They kind of broke this thing up. I mean, teams like Everman and that just barely made the playoffs, and Seguin that didn't make it, and Summit that did make it. Well, they shipped them all off to our 3-5A Division II. And now who are we left with, Diggs? Who do we have going at #1 in this district? Who's the team to look out for?
We got some teams coming up from 4A Division I. We've got some teams coming down. We got to figure all of this out. This is, like you said, a brand new kind of a shakeup of a district. It's like our Scrabble when you don't have any words in Scrabble. You got to put all the 7 tiles back in there, shake that bag, and get 7 new tiles. But the tile I like at #1 is still Midlothian Heritage. We're talking about all the teams that lose to South Oak Cliff a couple of weeks ago in 4-5A. Well, Midlothian Heritage the last 2 years has had to deal with South Oak Cliff, and guess what? You still got to deal with South Oak Cliff, Midlothian Heritage. I think they would have preferred to go Region 1 and to deal with one of those districts, but they got a lot of talent coming back. I remember watching Midlothian Heritage a couple of times last year, and I was really impressed with Carter Rutenbar, and he's going to be back. The all-everything wide receiver Ryan Satterwhite, who's a two-way player. He was a first-team cornerback and a first-team wide receiver. They got him back, and Chris Robinson, a very talented wide receiver, coming back. So they got that offensive talent that you're going to have with Rutenbar and Satterwhite and Robinson, but they got some defensive talent as well. So I think Midlothian Heritage is by far, for me, in that top tier at #1. And then top tier #2, I've got a special tier, just kind of the Ennis tier. I got Ennis at #2. I mean, we could just spend 5 minutes playing highlights of Grayson Harris, and we could keep having that footage go over and over, because what does he not do? He can be quarterback, he can be running back, he can be wide receiver. Just get this kid the ball, and he's going to find a way to get in the end zone for you, Ward.
Appreciate it, Diggs. We'll talk to you next week.
See you next week, Ward.
We'll post the entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. Now let's take a look at some game changers and our players on the rise, brought to you by Parker University. At Ennis, Grayson Harris flat out produces for the Ennis offense. The Lions wide receiver totaled over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns a year ago. And when he had to fill in at quarterback, Harris threw for 531 yards and 7 touchdowns. But it's receiver where Grayson will stand out at the collegiate level. During his first 3 years as a starter for Ennis, Harris had a total of 177 catches and 21 touchdowns as a wideout. Grayson has committed to Oklahoma. Carter Rutenbar is a decision maker for the Midlothian Heritage Jaguars. He's the Jags quarterback on the football team, and as a catcher for Heritage Baseball, Rutenbar calls the game from behind the plate there. He threw for over 2,000 yards and 29 touchdowns as a junior starter a year ago and led the Jags to an undefeated regular season. Expect even bigger numbers this year before he heads to Arkansas to play baseball in college. Kaufman's Ajor Miles certainly made a name for himself as a sophomore for the Lions. He pulled down 48 receptions for 836 yards and 9 scores for a playoff team. Now that the Lions have moved up to 5A, Kaufman will look for even more production out of Miles. He's a physical receiver with strong hands and great ball handling skills. Ajor recently got his first scholarship offer from Oklahoma, but expect more offers coming soon. Defensively, the best player in the district could be edge rusher Keandre Johnson from Terrell. The 6'3", 230-pounder made 61 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, and 10.5 sacks as a junior for the Tigers. He also caused a safety and scored a touchdown as a running back. Johnson puts in the work on and off the field as he's a member of the Academic Honor Society too. Keandre has offers from Arkansas, SMU, and Texas A&M, among others. Players on the Rise is brought to you by Parker University. Do you or your student want a career training the world's best athletes? Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today. Cricket Wireless has an offer that's going to blow up your group chat. 4 lines for only $25 per month each with nationwide 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket. The Campfire is brought to you by Golden Chick. One taste and you're golden. Our Ward Soul cut up to Midlothian Heritage head coach Eric Edwards to talk about his Jags in our Media Day segment.
All right, it's Media Day, and we're talking 6-5A Division II with Midlothian Heritage coach Eric Edwards. Coach, you had a fun time last year. You rolled through that district, and you rolled through the season undefeated until ran in them juggernauts at South Oak Cliff. But the district's changed since realignment. A couple of those mainstays took off to other districts, and you're left with some of them. But looking at the overall district, how do you feel about where you're at now and the type of teams you'll be facing?
Yeah, man. Again, I appreciate everything that you guys do and cover, and I think it's gonna be very similar. To be honest, I think you could compare the teams that left our district to go into another very difficult, loaded district, and the ones that we're adding from kind of a couple different places. But that's really, to me, it's going to be very, very similar. I think there's similarities, and again, with the teams that are no longer in the district and the ones that are added in, with Terrell and with Crandall and Mesquite Petite and Green Bull. Kaufman, it's kind of gone up and down a little bit of with their classification. That's all places that have been successful, have traditions, that have won a lot of football games, and you lose Joshua and Burleson and Mansfield Summit and Arlington Seguin, and with some really good coaches and programs. And again, I think it's just comparable with who's adding and compared to who's leaving.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you for joining us, and good luck in the upcoming season.
You bet. Appreciate you. If you need anything, just holler.
You can catch the entire interview Friday on our social media channels. That's going to do it for this week's Campfire. Next week, we head to 5A Division I and analyze 3 5A. Until then, have a great week, everybody.